going to take a look at a very high level of quality um, as it applies to manufacturing. And then we're going to go into SPC after that, and we'll talk about the differences between those. So starting out, if we have manufacturing facility, and this is just kind of, not going to be specific to your manufacturing, but the same concepts will apply. So we start out with raw materials, and then we go through some sort of processing. So those raw materials typically go into the processing. Now you may buy those raw materials from other companies. You might produce them within your own company. And typically they go through some sort of processing, and then you go through some sort of packaging. And that packaging could be bulk packaging, um, what have you. And it may just go into trucks and you don't have packaging per se. But we were going to talk about packaging here. So we get down to discrete items, and then that may even get into a case or boxes. And it ends up into the warehouse or your bulk storage. So we may have pallets with these cases of this product out there. And then eventually it ends up to customers. Okay, and they're dealing with either your bulk product or your discrete individual items. So it flows along this process here. And really what we're after is the bottom line, what's the quality out here to the customer. Now this might be a customer that's using your product to manufacture their product, or it might be a retail customer. So if we have something, let's say a raw material coming into this process that is off quality, we might not notice it. And then it gets out to the customer here, and maybe over time the color changes, and all of a sudden we have bad product that we produced. We spent all the money to produce it, and it got out to the customer here, and now it shows up as a quality issue. So if you were manufacturing a car and it went all the way out and this part broke on the cars, then that's a bad quality issue. If it's a liquid product and it goes all the way out to the customer, and the color of it changes, it's supposed to be yellow soap and all of a sudden it starts turning green and people just don't like green soap, that's a problem. It may or may not affect the performance of the product, but it's just how it's perceived. So that can result in lower demand because trust is lost. So the customer just doesn't like your product, doesn't believe that you can produce a good product, and then all of a sudden your sales start dropping. So that's one thing where quality becomes very important. Plus, it could be a safety issue, in which case you could have a recall, and recalls are very, very expensive. And plus, again, it damages that trust. You may have caught it in the warehouse, and the lab tested it and came up with, hey, the quality of the product, we have a problem with it, and we have to rework it. Well, or we have to throw it away. Either one is inefficient Either one costs money and affects your bottom line of your whole operation. You may have to throw away the raw material that you bought. So it drives up your cost to produce your product, and for that year and or month, however you're breaking it down and looking at it, and affects your bottom line. So really, if we could catch, if that all that originated from a raw material, or maybe something in processing, or something in packaging, if we could catch it early, so the earlier, the better. um, is better. The sooner we can catch it, the better off we're going to be. So even though you didn't detect the problem until the color was different here, it may have been a raw material item here. If you could do a test here that will tell you in advance that, hey, if you continue to run this product, um, you're going to have a problem later on. The color is going to be off, and prevent it. Don't even process it. Don't even do the packaging. You don't, you know, affect the trust with your customers. You don't have rework or scrap. You may have a shortage of products because you don't have any raw material to produce products. That's better to deal with than to, um, produce the actual bad products. If we take a look at the definition of quality, basically in manufacturing, it's a measure of excellence or a state of being free of defects, deficiencies, or significant variation. So you can think of it this way, is that you want consistent product. It is brought about by strict and consistent commitment to certain standards that achieve uniformity of a product in order to satisfy specific customer or user requirements. It doesn't mean they all have to be identical, but you have to meet the customer's requirements or the user requirements. So I thought this was important to include because that kind of just really summarizes what quality is overall.